During a medical emergency in Panama, knowing where to go can be just as important as getting help quickly.
This Panama Healthcare series shows you how to plan for care, from insurance and emergencies to hospitals, pharmacies, and chronic conditions.
Welcome to our explainer. Mira, let's just dive right in today because we've got some ground to cover. If you're traveling to, or maybe even living down here in Panama, dealing with a medical emergency is not just a simple question of, where's the nearest hospital? Our guide today breaks down the absolutely crucial protocols for 10 key Panamanian destinations. Because surviving an emergency here, it's all about timing, transport, and really mastering precise geographic routing. Panama has some fantastic healthcare for sure, but knowing exactly how to access it when literally every single second counts, well, that takes a real plan. So let me ask you something. Do you actually know where a Panamanian ambulance would take you based on your exact location? In 2026, with Panama seeing record numbers of expats, tourists, and remote workers setting up life way outside the city limits, this question is more critical than it's ever been. A lot of folks make a really dangerous mistake. They just assume the emergency response works exactly like it does back home in the US, Canada, or Europe. And, well, it doesn't. Panama absolutely does have an official pre-hospital emergency system, known as SUME 911. But ambulance coverage and their response times, they vary wildly, depending on whether you're right in the capital, up in the mountains, or out chilling on a remote beach. You need to know your route way before you actually need it. Okay, so if you do find yourself needing to call SUME 911, this is your very first step. You have to be ready to state your location clearly in Spanish. You're going to tell the dispatcher, "Necesito una ambulancia. Estoy en," and then you follow that with your town or your hotel. Then you say, "La dirección es," for your actual street address. Now here's the real kicker. You need to say cerca de, which means close to a specific landmark. And please, saying you're near a big green tree or a stray dog isn't going to help an ambulance find you in Panama. Use a nearby church, a gas station, a bridge, something permanent. Finally, always give them your phone number by saying, "Mi número es," and read off the digits. Let's build this into the first 5 minutes of your emergency plan. For life-threatening symptoms, I'm talking chest pain, stroke symptoms, major trauma, heavy bleeding, or seizures, you call 911 immediately, no questions asked. But here's the reality check. In some locations outside of Panama City, having a trusted driver, a hotel vehicle, or even a taxi take you directly to a clinic is actually a lot faster. If the person is stable and they can be moved safely, waiting around for an ambulance in an area known for heavy traffic or low coverage might just severely delay your care. You have to make that judgment call.
Moving into Section 1, let's look at the city and beach hubs, specifically Panama City, Coronado, and San Carlos.
So Panama City naturally has the country's strongest concentration of specialists in advanced care. For a serious emergency there, you are going directly to one of the world-class private hospitals, like Pacifica Salud. But if you move down the coast a bit to Coronado, it's a highly convenient beach hub, right? It has really great facilities like Clínica Hospital San Fernando. However, if you suffer a serious surgical or cardiac event while you're in Coronado, you're likely going to need to transfer straight back to Panama City, anyway, for the heavy-duty stuff. And if you go even further down the coast to San Carlos, well, you're relying strictly on local clinics for minor issues. For anything major out there, you've got to plan for that drive back to Coronado or all the way to the city.
Bueno, we can't just look at a map on paper and call it a day. The beach corridor looks pretty close to the city, but what happens during weekend beach traffic when everyone is leaving town? Or during a national holiday? Those roads get jammed. Heavy tropical rain or nighttime travel limitations can completely dictate whether you decide to rush to a local clinic in San Carlos or if you actually attempt the long drive straight to the capital. You absolutely have to factor these real-world, on-the-ground conditions into your emergency plan.
Next up, Section 2. We're heading to the highlands and regional anchors. Let's talk about Boquete, David, and the Chiriquí province.
If you're living in or just visiting Boquete up in the mountains, the local clinics there are fantastic for minor injuries, infections, or basic urgent care. They really are. But if we're talking about chest pain, stroke symptoms, or major trauma, that local care simply isn't enough. You must immediately transfer down the mountain to David. David is the absolute medical anchor of that entire region. It houses major facilities like the private Centro Médico May Luis, which has 24-hour emergency and imaging, or the public regional hospital Dr. Rafael Hernandez.
Now, for the retirees with cardiac risks, listen closely to this part. Do not assume that a tranquil, beautiful mountain environment means you inherently have a low medical risk. It's actually quite the opposite when it comes to logistics. If you live in these highland communities and you have chronic illnesses, you must prepare your Spanish intake phrases for your specific conditions and medications. And more importantly, you need to strictly plan your transport down to David before an emergency ever strikes. You do not want to be figuring out a mountain drive at 2 a.m. while having chest pains.
Let's move to Section 3, Islands and Remote Coasts. We're looking at Bocas del Toro, Santa Catalina, and Pedasi.
Out on the remote beaches, geography is quite literally the boss. You're dealing with boat schedules, incredibly slow road routes, and unpredictable tropical weather that can just halt movement entirely. Nighttime transport out there, it's often severely limited, if it exists at all. Plus, if you're out surfing or diving, marine-related injuries bring their own very specific risks. In places like Pedasi, getting local care is often just the very first step to stabilize you before you endure a major inter-facility transfer to a stronger regional town like Las Tablas. Again, you have to remember that nearest does not always mean best when you're out on the coast.
All right, Section 4. Let's talk about the hidden costs and delays. What actually happens behind the scenes? There are some serious friction points here that catch expats and tourists completely off guard every single year. First, ambulance response times vary wildly. You might rely on SUME 911, or depending on where you are, you might need the Red Cross or even a private ambulance service. Second, and oye, this is a massive one. Private hospitals in Panama often require deposits or payment guarantees before you are admitted or given non-stabilizing treatment. They will stabilize you, but after that, they want to see the money. You must carry multiple payment methods. Third, if you get hurt way out in Bocas del Toro, that interfacility transfer back to Panama City is going to rack up serious costs. And finally, if it happens to be a weekend or a national holiday, insurance approvals can face massive delays. You need a financial plan that works even before your insurer picks up the phone to authorize your care. Section 5, Navigating the Ecosystem. This is about connecting your specific needs to the right resources.
To help you build a really complete strategy, we've actually produced a whole series of guides based on our source material. So if you're someone who might need advanced city care, you absolutely want to check out Blog 5, which covers Panama City's world-class private hospitals in deep detail. If you're managing a chronic illness out in a quieter mountain town, you need to read Blog 7 on Expat Wellcare. And if you really want to demystify all those complex insurance and evacuation terms we just touched on, you need to dive straight into Blog 2, The Insurance Matrix.
Let me read you something very important. Emergency medical coverage may not automatically mean evacuation to Panama City or your home country. This is absolutely crucial to understand. The UK's foreign travel advice strongly echoes this exact point. You must read your policy's fine print. You have to understand the difference between standard, run-of-the-mill emergency coverage and a full-blown medical evacuation. Because if you are out on the islands, that tiny distinction in your paperwork could quite literally save your life, and definitely save your wallet. Let's wrap things up with Section 6, your emergency travel checklist. How to prepare before you travel. All right, here's your non-negotiable action plan. Step 1, save SUME 911, your local embassy, and a trusted local driver directly into your phone contacts right now. Step 2, verify your nearest public and private clinics using the official MINSA or CSS directories. Step 3, carry your passport ID, your insurance info, and your medication lists saved entirely offline on your phone, because I promised you out in the jungle, the internet fails. Step 4, explicitly ask your hotel front desk who actually drives guests during a midnight emergency. Do not assume they magically know the best route or have a car waiting. And Step 5, share this entire plan with your travel companion. A brilliant emergency plan is completely useless if you're the one who's unconscious and no one else knows what to do. We've covered a ton of critical ground today. But there is so much more detail, including all the direct links to those official hospital and government directories right in the source material. I highly encourage you to check out the full blog this explainer is based on. It's a goldmine. And make sure you catch our next explainer on Blog 4, where we will thoroughly navigate Panama's public healthcare options, especially for long-term residents. So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought before you head out to enjoy those beautiful beaches and mountains of Panama. Do you have your Spanish emergency card and an offline map saved on your phone right now? If the answer is no, well, you know exactly what your next step is. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer today. Cuídense mucho and stay safe out there.
Join IGO Panama, the largest community for tourists and expats in Panama, and get free access to trusted resources, our private Facebook group, and our verified directory.
This 8-part Panama healthcare series helps expats plan for care. from insurance and emergencies to hospitals, pharmacies, chronic conditions, and what to avoid before you need care.
If you found this helpful, explore more on IGO Panama. Visit and join www.igopanama.com/join.